I was cheering on my brother when his crazy and jealous girlfriend threatened me. It was the regional swimming finals, and Devin had trained for 8 months straight. I was in the stands with my dad, screaming until my voice cracked. That's when Bree appeared beside me, face twisted with something I'd never seen before. "You need to stop," she hissed. "Stop what? Cheering for my brother?" She grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave marks. "Stop acting like you own him." I tried to pull away, but her nails dug in. "He's my brother. What's wrong with you?" "I've seen the way you look at him," she said, and I realized with horror she was serious. "The way you text him, the way you're always around." Dad noticed and pulled me away. Security escorted Bree out while she screamed about how I was trying to steal her boyfriend. Devin won his race, but the celebration felt hollow. Later at dinner, he apologized for her behavior. "She's just stressed about college applications," he said. She didn't mean it, but she did mean it. The texts started that night, hundreds of them, accusing me of things that made my skin crawl. I blocked her number, then she created new ones. She showed up at my work, sitting in the corner, watching me for entire shifts. When I got promoted to shift lead, someone left a dead bird in my locker with a note, "You don't deserve anything." I told Devin everything. He confronted her and she cried, claiming I was making it up because I was jealous of their relationship. She showed him screenshots of texts I'd supposedly sent to her, except I'd never written those words. They were fabricated, but convincing enough. "Why would she lie?" Devin asked me, his voice cold in a way I'd never heard before. "Because she's unhinged," I said. "She threatened me at your meet. Security said you grabbed her first, that you were jealous she was sitting in your seat." That wasn't what happened, but Bree had already rewritten the story, and Devin believed her version. Our parents stayed neutral, saying couples fight and we'd work it out. But this wasn't a fight. This was a systematic campaign to isolate me from my own brother. She got worse. Photos of me appeared on anonymous social media accounts with captions suggesting I was obsessed with Devin. My college friends started getting weird messages asking if I'd ever acted inappropriately around my brother. 2 of them stopped responding to my texts. I changed my phone number, my social media, my routine. Nothing helped. She always found me. Then she started showing up at my apartment, just standing across the street, staring up at my window for hours. I called the police 4 times. They said without a direct threat there was nothing they could do. "She's just standing on a public sidewalk, ma'am." The breaking point came when I found her in my apartment. I'd forgotten to lock the bathroom window, and she'd climbed through. She was sitting on my couch, holding a photo album from my childhood. Photos of Devin and me. "These should have been pictures of me," she said calmly. "I should have been his sister, not you." I grabbed my phone, but she was faster. She smashed it against the wall, then stepped closer. "He doesn't need you anymore," she whispered. "He has me now, but you keep getting in the way." I ran for the door, but she caught my hair, yanking me backward. We struggled, and I managed to break free, sprinting down 3 flights of stairs. I spent that night in a hotel, then got a restraining order the next morning. The judge granted it immediately after seeing the evidence I'd compiled over 5 months. When I served Devin the paperwork explaining what had happened, he finally believed me. He broke up with Bree that day. She violated the restraining order twice, spent a weekend in jail, and I thought it was finally over. Then yesterday, I got an email. No sender name, just a subject line. He chose me. The attachment was a photo of a positive pregnancy test with Bree's hand holding it. And below it, a screenshot of a text conversation where Devin was asking if she was okay, if she needed anything, if they should talk about what happens next. I stared at my laptop screen until my eyes burned. The timestamp on the texts was from 3 days ago. 3 days. After everything she'd put me through, after the restraining order, after Devin had finally seen who she really was, he was talking to her again. My hands shook as I forwarded the email to Devin. No message, just the forward. He called within 2 minutes. "It's not what you think," he said immediately. "Then what is it?" "She contacted me saying she was pregnant." I had to respond. What if it's true? What if it's another lie? My voice cracked. She faked text messages from me. She broke into my apartment. She spent time in jail for violating a restraining order. Why would you believe anything she says? Because if there's even a chance, then you get a paternity test. You don't have secret conversations behind my back. Silence on the line. Then quieter. I knew you'd react like this. React like what? Like someone who's been terrorized for months? Like your sister who you didn't believe until she had a court order? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Devin, but here we are. I hung up. My phone rang again immediately. I turned it off. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump, convinced Bree had somehow gotten past the new locks I'd installed. At 3 a.m., I sat on my couch with all the lights on, scrolling through my old text thread with Devin. Before Bree, we'd texted every day. Stupid memes, plans for weekend hikes, screenshots of our mom's increasingly bizarre Facebook posts. Now the thread had been dead for weeks except for that one forwarded email. The next morning, my mom called. I almost didn't answer. "Your brother told me what happened," she said without preamble. "Which part? The pregnancy or the part where he's talking to his stalker ex-girlfriend? Don't be dramatic. If she's really pregnant, that's his child. He has responsibilities." She broke into my apartment, Mom. She sent people messages suggesting I couldn't even say it out loud. She ruined my friendships. She got me fired from one job because she kept showing up and making scenes. I understand you're upset. No, you don't understand. You didn't understand when it was happening, and you don't understand now. You and Dad stayed neutral. You said couples fight, but she wasn't fighting with me. She was destroying me. We were trying to support both of you. You can't support both the victim and the abuser, Mom. That's not how it works. She sighed. That particular sigh that meant I was being difficult. Well, Devin wants to have a family dinner this weekend to talk about everything. Will you come? Is Bree going to be there? Of course not. It's just family. I didn't believe her, but I agreed anyway. Maybe because some part of me still hoped my family would choose me over the woman who'd made my life hell. The dinner was set for Saturday at 6 p.m. I arrived at 6:15, deliberately late. My dad was grilling on the back patio. Mom was setting the table, and Devin sat on the couch, looking at his phone with an expression I recognized, the one he got when he was texting someone he didn't want anyone to know about. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. He startled, shoving the phone in his pocket. "No one, just work stuff. Don't lie to me, not after everything. Can we not do this right now?" But Mom was already calling us to the table. Dad brought in a platter of steaks. We sat in our usual seats, and for a moment it felt almost normal. Then Dad cleared his throat. "So, we need to discuss the situation." What situation?" I asked, even though I knew. "Bree contacted us," Mom said gently. "She wanted to let us know about the baby. She thought we deserved to know we're going to be grandparents." My fork clattered against my plate. "She contacted you? She has a restraining order. She's not supposed to contact any of us." "It was just one message," Dad said. "She said she wanted to do the right thing. The right thing would be leaving us all alone. That's not fair to the baby," Mom said. "If it's Devin's child." If. That's a big if. "Has anyone considered getting a paternity test before we all start planning the nursery?" Devin finally spoke. "She agreed to one, after the baby's born." "Why not now? They can do them during pregnancy. Those tests can be risky." "So she told you, and you believed her." I pushed my chair back. "I'm done. Sit down," Dad said. "We're having a family discussion." "No, you're having a discussion about how to accommodate my stalker because she might be carrying your grandchild." "I'm not participating." "She apologized," Mom said quietly. "She sent us a long message about how she was going through a mental health crisis. She's in therapy now. She's getting help. Good for her. That doesn't erase what she did. People make mistakes." "Mistakes?" "She broke into my apartment. She tried to destroy my relationships. She made my life a living hell for months. Those weren't mistakes. They were choices." "If she's really changed," Mom started. "I don't care if she's changed. I care that my own family is willing to welcome her back like nothing happened." Devin stood up. "You're being selfish. This isn't about you anymore. There's a baby involved. A baby that might not even exist. A baby that might not even be yours. But you're also ready to believe her because that's easier than admitting you failed me." "We didn't fail you," Dad said, his voice rising. "We got you that restraining order. After months of me begging for help, after she'd already destroyed half my life, you got me that order only because a judge saw the evidence and had no choice." "That's not true." "It is true. You told me to stop being dramatic. You told me couples fight. You told me to give her a chance because Devin loved her. You failed me at every turn, and now you're doing it again." I grabbed my purse and walked out. No one followed me. In my car, I sat with my hands on the steering wheel, shaking. My phone buzzed. A text from Devin. "You didn't even eat. Mom made your favorite dessert." I blocked his number. Then I blocked my parents' numbers. Then I sat in my childhood driveway and cried until my throat was raw. 3 weeks passed. I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts, avoided anywhere I might run into my family. My friend Tessa invited me out for drinks and I went, desperate for any distraction. "You look like hell," she said, sliding a margarita across to me. "Thanks, that's exactly what I needed to hear." "I'm serious. What's going on?" I told her everything. The whole story, from the swimming meet to the restraining order to the pregnancy announcement to the family dinner. She listened without interrupting, her expression darkening with each new detail. "So let me get this straight," she said when I finished. "Your brother's psycho ex-girlfriend terrorized you, broke into your home, violated a restraining order, and now your family wants you to just forgive and forget because she claims she's pregnant?" That's the summary, yes. "Your family is insane. They think I'm being selfish. You're being sane. There's a difference." She took a long drink. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. I blocked all their numbers. I'm thinking about moving." "Where?" "Anywhere. Somewhere they can't find me. Somewhere Bree definitely can't find me. That's running away. Maybe I need to run away. Maybe that's the only way to protect myself." Tessa reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "Or maybe you stand your ground. Document everything. Keep records. Make sure that if she violates that restraining order again, there's no question about consequences. She already violated it twice. She spent a weekend in jail. It didn't stop her. Because your family gave her an opening. They showed her that if she waits long enough, if she plays the victim well enough, they'll let her back in. Don't let her back in. Not into your life, not into your head, not anywhere." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to be strong enough to stand my ground, but I was so tired. That night, I got home to find an envelope taped to my door. No postage, hand-delivered. My stomach dropped as I recognized the handwriting. Breeze. Inside was a single piece of paper, a sonogram photo, and underneath, in her perfect cursive, his daughter, due March 15th. "Hope you'll be a good aunt." I called the police. They came, took a report, documented the restraining order violation, but the officer's face said what I already knew. One envelope wasn't enough to put her back in jail. Not unless she kept doing it. Not unless I could prove she was the one who delivered it. "Change your locks again," the officer suggested. "Maybe get a security camera for your door." I did both. Spent $200 I didn't have on a doorbell camera and $150 on new locks. Slept with a baseball bat next to my bed. Started checking the back seat of my car before I got in. Lived like someone being hunted, because I was. 2 days later, the doorbell camera caught her. 2:47 a.m., standing in front of my door in a black hoodie, face partially hidden. She didn't knock, didn't leave anything. Just stood there for 7 minutes, staring at the camera before walking away. I sent the footage to the police, to my lawyer, to everyone who needed to document this. But I didn't send it to Devin. What was the point? He'd already chosen to believe her lies over my truth. Except then he showed up at my work. I was behind the bar, mixing drinks, when I looked up and saw him standing in the doorway. For a second, neither of us moved. Then he walked over and sat down on a stool. "I'll have a Coke," he said quietly. I poured it without speaking and set it in front of him. "The baby's a girl," he said. "In case you were wondering, I wasn't." I saw the footage of Bree at your door. My hand stilled on the bar towel I was wiping down the counter with. How did you see it? Mom showed me. You sent it to your lawyer, and he sent it to the police, and they contacted Mom and Dad as witnesses from the original restraining order case. They wanted to know if they'd seen Bree recently, and have they? He looked down at his Coke. She came to the house last week. The towel slipped from my hand. What? She wanted to talk. About the baby. About everything. Mom invited her in for coffee. Mom invited her in. She seemed different. Calmer. She apologized for everything. She cried. She said she was on new medication and in intensive therapy, and she knew she'd hurt you, but she wanted to make things right. And you all believed her. I wanted to believe her. He finally looked up at me. I wanted to believe that people can change, that she could get help and become someone different, someone who could be a good mother. What changed? I asked her about the doorbell camera footage, about why she was at your apartment at 3 a.m., if she was really getting better. What did she say? She said it wasn't her, said it must have been someone else in a hoodie, said you were probably lying about the whole thing to turn me against her again. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. And I realized she hadn't changed at all. She was just better at pretending. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at him for taking so long to figure it out. Part of me wanted to hug him because he'd finally seen the truth. I did neither. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I let her come between us. I'm sorry for everything. Sorry doesn't fix it. I know, but it's a start. Is it? Because last time you were sorry, she turned up pregnant and you started talking to her again. I'm getting a paternity test. During the pregnancy. I don't care what she says about risks. I need to know if this is even real. And if it is, then I'll be a father. But she won't be in my life beyond co-parenting. And she definitely won't be in yours. That's not how this works, Devin. If she has your baby, she's in your life, which means she's in your life at family events and holidays and every milestone. And I can't, my voice broke. I can't do that. I can't sit at Thanksgiving dinner with her. I can't watch her hold a baby and play happy family with our parents. I can't. Then we won't do family events. Not with her there. Mom and Dad will never agree to that. Then I won't go either. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to trust that this time would be different. But I'd been disappointed too many times. The paternity test, I said. When? Next week. She finally agreed to it. I think she realized I wasn't going to help her until she did. Text me the results. Don't call. Don't show up. Just text me when you know. Okay. He left money for the Coke he hadn't touched and walked out. I watched him go, feeling something inside me break a little more. The week dragged by. Every day I expected to hear from him. Every day, nothing. On the 8th day, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Test results. Not the father. She's been lying about everything. I should have felt relieved, vindicated, something. Instead, I just felt empty, because even with proof of her lies, I knew this wasn't over. People like Bree didn't give up. They just found new ways to hurt you. I was right. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls from my mother. When I finally called back, she was crying so hard I could barely understand her. What happened? It's Devin, she sobbed. He's in the hospital. My blood went cold. What? Why? What happened? Bree, she showed up at his apartment last night. She had a knife. The world tilted sideways. Is he okay? He's alive. He's in surgery. She stabbed him 3 times before the neighbors heard him screaming and called police. I don't remember the drive to the hospital. Don't remember parking or running through the ER or finding my parents in the waiting room. I just remember my mother's face, red and swollen, and my father's hands shaking as he tried to drink coffee. He's still in surgery, Dad said. One of the wounds was close to his heart. They're not sure. They don't know if he couldn't finish. I sat down between them and we waited. Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Police officers took statements. And we sat in those plastic chairs, not talking, just existing in that horrible space between before and after. At some point, a detective approached us. The suspect is in custody. We need to ask you some questions about her history with your family. I told him everything. The swimming meet, the texts, the photos, the break-in, the restraining order, the violation, the pregnancy lie, all of it. He took notes, his expression growing grimmer with each detail. Why didn't anyone stop her sooner? He asked. It was the question I'd been asking myself for months. We tried. I tried. But the system doesn't protect you until after something terrible happens. Well, something terrible happened. A surgeon appeared in the doorway, still in her scrubs. Family of Devin Torres. We all stood at once. He's stable, she said, and my mother collapsed into my father's arms with relief. The surgery went well. We repaired the damage. He's going to need time to recover, but he should make a full recovery. Can we see him? Mom asked. He's in recovery now. Give us another hour, then you can visit. 2 at a time. When the surgeon left, I sat back down heavily. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. Dad sat beside me and put his arm around my shoulders. I'm sorry, he said. You were right about everything. We should have listened. We should have protected you both. It was the first time he'd said it. The first time either of my parents had admitted they'd failed. It should have felt like victory, but it just felt like grief. Mom and Dad went in to see Devin first. I sat alone in the waiting room, staring at the muted TV showing the news. And there it was, Bree's booking photo. The headline underneath read, "Woman arrested after alleged stabbing of ex-boyfriend." Alleged, like there was any question about what she'd done. When it was my turn to see Devin, I almost couldn't walk into the room. He looked so small in that hospital bed, hooked up to machines, his skin pale against the white sheets. But when he saw me, he smiled. Hey, sis. Hey. I pulled a chair up next to his bed and took his hand carefully, avoiding the IV. You look like hell. You should see the other guy. I saw her booking photo. She looks exactly like the psychopath she is. He laughed, then winced. Don't make me laugh. It hurts. Sorry. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he squeezed my hand. You tried to warn me, he said, about all of it. And I didn't listen. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing. Just focus on getting better. I need to say this. You were right About her, about mom and dad, about everything, and I put you through hell because I couldn't see it, because I didn't want to see it. Why didn't you? Because I loved her, or I thought I did. And it's hard to believe that someone you love is capable of that kind of evil. It's easier to make excuses, to believe they'll change, to think you're special enough to fix them. But you can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. No, you can't. He closed his eyes. She told me she loved me right before she stabbed me. Said if she couldn't have me, no one could. Said I'd betrayed her by choosing you over her. I'm sorry. Don't. Don't apologize for existing. Don't apologize for being my sister. That's what she wanted. To make you feel guilty for loving me, for being in my life. We can't let her win that way. A nurse came in to check his vitals. I stood to leave, but Devin held onto my hand. Don't go far, he said. I need you here. I'm not going anywhere. The trial was set for 6 months later. Bree's lawyer tried for an insanity defense, claiming she'd had a psychotic break, but the prosecutor had my documentation. Every text, every photo, every police report. They had the doorbell camera footage. They had the violated restraining orders. They had her own social media posts that proved she'd been planning this for months. The jury took 3 hours to convict her on all counts. Attempted murder, aggravated assault, stalking, harassment, violation of a restraining order. The judge sentenced her to 25 years without possibility of parole. I watched her face as they read the sentence. She didn't cry, didn't react. Just stared at Devin with that same obsessive intensity she'd had from the beginning. Like even now, even after everything, she thought they belonged together. As they led her out of the courtroom in handcuffs, she turned to me and smiled. Not a sad smile or a defeated smile. A promise. I left the courthouse shaking. It's over, Mom said, pulling me into a hug. It's finally over. But it wasn't. Not really. Because I still checked my locks 3 times before bed. Still jumped at unexpected noises. Still felt my stomach drop every time I saw a woman with long dark hair. Trauma doesn't end with a verdict. It lives in your body, in your reflexes, in the way you move through the world. Devin recovered slowly. Physical therapy for his chest and shoulder. Regular therapy for everything else. He moved back in with our parents for a while, too scared to be alone in his apartment. I visited him most days, and slowly, we rebuilt what Bree had broken. One afternoon, about 8 months after the trial, we were sitting on the back patio when he turned to me with a serious expression. I need to tell you something. Okay, I've been getting letters from her, from prison. My blood ran cold. What kind of letters? At first, they were apologetic, saying she was sorry, that she was getting help, that she understood what she'd done. But lately, they've changed. She started talking about us again, about our relationship, about how she knows I still love her, and I'm just confused. You need to tell the police. I did. They said prisoners have a right to send mail. Unless she's making direct threats, there's nothing they can do. So what are you going to do? I'm not reading them anymore. I told the prison to mark my address as refused, but I wanted you to know, in case she tries to contact you too. She has my address? I don't know, but she's obsessive enough to find it. That night, I went home and installed 2 more cameras. One facing the street, one facing the parking lot. Started varying my route to work. Started parking in different spots. Started living in that heightened state of awareness that victims know too well. A year passed. Then 2. Devin moved into a new apartment, started dating someone new, someone kind and normal who didn't show up uninvited or send threatening texts. Our parents went to therapy and actually learned about enabling and boundaries. We started having family dinners again, but smaller ones, quieter ones. Dinners where we could actually talk about what had happened. I enabled her, Mom admitted one night. I wanted Devin to be happy so badly that I ignored all the signs, all the red flags. I chose his temporary happiness over your safety. We both did, Dad added. And we're sorry. We can't take it back, but we can do better. And they did. They paid for new security systems for both my and Devin's apartments. They went to family therapy with us. They actually listened when we talked about what we needed. It wasn't perfect. Some things were still broken, but we were trying. 3 years after the stabbing, I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Mira Torres? Yes. Who's this? This is Officer Patricia Vance with the State Correctional Facility. I'm calling to inform you that prisoner Bree Callahan has been released early due to prison overcrowding. The world stopped spinning. What? She was sentenced to 25 years. Yes, but due to good behavior and mandatory release programs for nonviolent offenders, she stabbed my brother 3 times. I understand your concern. She's been released with conditions. Ankle monitor, regular check-ins with a parole officer, mandatory therapy, and a no-contact order with you and your family. No contact orders didn't stop her before. If she violates any conditions of her release, she'll be sent back to prison immediately. If she violates them, not before, after. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm just calling to inform you as per victim notification requirements. She gave me a case number and a parole officer's contact information. Then she hung up, leaving me standing in the middle of my bar with my hands shaking. I called Devin, then my parents, then the police, then my lawyer. Everyone said the same thing. Be vigilant, document everything. But there was nothing they could do until she actually did something. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to every sound. My phone buzzed at 2:33 a.m., a text from an unknown number. I told you he chose me. Now it's your turn to see what that means. I took a screenshot, called it in. The police contacted her parole officer. She claimed her phone had been stolen. The parole officer believed her. 3 days later, my car windshield was smashed in. No witnesses, no cameras in that part of the parking lot. Could have been anyone. 5 days after that, someone left flowers on my doorstep. Pink roses. The same kind Bree used to send herself and claim they were from Devin. A week later, my boss pulled me aside. Someone called asking about your schedule. Wanted to know what days you work, what time you get off. Said she was your sister. I don't have a sister. That's what I thought. I told her we don't give out that information, but I wanted you to know. I reported every incident, every single one. The police took reports. Her parole officer claimed she was home each time. Ankle monitor proving it. But ankle monitors can be tampered with, or she had help. I stopped sleeping more than 3 hours at a time, lost weight, started looking over my shoulder constantly. Devin wanted me to move in with him, but I refused to let her chase me out of my home. Then one night, I woke up to the sound of breaking glass. My bedroom window. I grabbed my phone and the baseball bat I kept beside my bed and pressed myself against the wall by the door. Footsteps in my living room. Slow, deliberate. Mira, Bree's voice called out softly. I know you're awake. I can hear your heart beating. I dialed 911 with shaking fingers. 911, what's your emergency? Someone broke into my apartment, I whispered. Bree Callahan, she has a no-contact order. She's in my living room. Stay on the line. Officers are on their way. The footsteps got closer, stopped outside my bedroom door. I've been thinking about this moment for 3 years, Bree said. Every day in that cell. Thinking about you, about what you took from me. I didn't take anything from you. You took everything. My boyfriend, my future, my life. You did that to yourself. The door handle turned. I'd locked it, but the cheap apartment lock wouldn't hold. I backed toward the window, bat raised. The police are coming, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. They're already on their way. Good. Let them come. Let them see what you made me do. The door burst open. She stood in the doorway, illuminated by the streetlight through my living room window. She looked different, harder. Prison had changed her face, sharpened her edges, and in her hand was a knife. I loved him, she said, taking a step into my room. I loved him more than anything, and you convinced him I was crazy. You broke into my apartment the first time. You stalked me for months. You stabbed him 3 times. Because he chose you. Because no matter what I did, no matter how much I loved him, he always chose you. Because I'm his sister. Exactly. She smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. You had him first. You had him before I even knew he existed. You had 18 years with him before I got one. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I want to talk about how you ruined my life, and how I'm going to make sure you never ruin anyone else's. She lunged. I swung the bat with everything I had, connected with her shoulder. She screamed, dropping the knife. I dove for it, but she recovered faster than I expected, grabbing my ankle and pulling me back. We fought on the floor of my bedroom, both of us struggling for the knife. I heard sirens. Close. Getting closer. Bree heard them too. Her grip loosened for just a second, and I wrenched free, scrambling backward until my back hit the wall. She stood up, blood running down her shoulder from where I'd hit her. This isn't over, she said. It's never going to be over. Then she ran. Out my bedroom door, through my living room, out the broken window she'd climbed through. By the time the police arrived 30 seconds later, she was gone. They found her 2 days later trying to cross state lines. Violated parole, broke the no-contact order, broke into my home, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, again. This time the judge gave her 40 years, no parole, no early release. I don't ever want to see this woman in my courtroom again, the judge said. She has proven beyond any doubt that she is a danger to society. Bree didn't react, just stared at me from across the courtroom with that same obsessive intensity, like she was trying to memorize my face, like she was already planning what she'd do when she got out. But this time I stared back. Let her see that I wasn't afraid anymore. Let her see that she hadn't won, that she'd never win. After the second trial, something in me shifted. I stopped checking my locks obsessively, stopped jumping at shadows, stopped living like prey, because I realized that's what she wanted, to take up space in my head, to control me through fear, even from behind bars. I refused to give her that power. Devin and I started a support group for people dealing with obsessive stalkers, for people whose families didn't believe them, for people who felt like the system had failed them. It met twice a month in the back room of a community center, and slowly, it grew. People told their stories. Stories like mine, stories worse than mine. And we listened. We believed each other. We helped each other figure out safety plans and legal options, and how to rebuild your life when someone has tried to destroy it. 5 years later, I met someone. His name was Callum, and he was kind and patient and understood when I needed to take things slow, when I needed to know where he was, when I needed him to text me when he got home safe. He never made me feel broken. He just loved me through the healing. We got married on a beach with just our families and closest friends. Devin was my man of honor. My parents cried happy tears, and for the first time in years, I felt safe, actually safe. Bree sent a letter from prison. I didn't read it. Devin didn't read it. We had the prison mark all correspondence from her as refused. She could write all she wanted. We wouldn't receive it. Because that's the thing about people like Bree. They think love gives them ownership. They think wanting someone badly enough means they deserve them. They can't comprehend that love is freely given, not taken by force. Devin eventually married his girlfriend Tessa. They have 2 kids now, and sometimes, when we're all together, me and Callum, Devin and Tessa, mom and dad, the kids running around the backyard, I think about how close we came to losing this, how Bree almost destroyed everything, but she didn't. We survived her, and we built something better in the aftermath. I still get nightmares sometimes, still have moments where I see a woman with long dark hair and my heart rate spikes. Trauma doesn't disappear completely, but it gets quieter. The good moments start to outnumber the bad ones. Last month, I got a call from a journalist wanting to write about my story, about surviving a stalker when the system failed to protect me, about building a support network for others going through the same thing. I said yes, because maybe if I tell my story, if I make noise about how the system fails victims, Maybe it'll help someone else. Maybe the next person won't have to wait until they're almost murdered before anyone takes them seriously. The article came out yesterday. Front page of a major newspaper. My story. Devin's story. Bree's conviction. And underneath, a list of resources for stalking victims, hotlines, legal services, support groups. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. People sharing their own stories. People asking for help. People saying thank you for speaking up. And for the first time since that swimming meet 7 years ago, I feel like something good came from all of this. Like Bree tried to destroy me, but instead, I turned that destruction into something that might save someone else. She took a lot from me. My peace. My sense of safety. 3 years of my life lived in fear. But she didn't take everything. She didn't take my voice. She didn't take my ability to love. She didn't take my family. And she definitely didn't take my life. That belongs to me. It always did. I just had to survive long enough to claim it back.